This is what the top 2% or top 1% do. And if you want to be in the top 1%, you got to do the top 1% shit, right?
Hell yeah.
Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is L.A. Williams, and I'm here live on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, man. And we are with a phenomenal guest. This gentleman, actually, we connected in the Millionaire Car Salesman group. My wife found him. She said, man, this guy is awesome. You got to check him out, right? He owns a company called Indirect Auto. He was talking to me about some RV campgrounds, different type of things. And so this is definitely a different podcast. You guys are going to get a tremendous amount of value. So without further ado, let me bring to the microphone my main man, Mr. Michael West. What's happening, Mike?
What's up, LA? How are you?
Super excited, man, to have you on the podcast today. So fill in your personal story, any kind of gaps and things like that I left, and then tell the people about you.
Okay. I grew up in a small town called Lucedale, Mississippi. It's got about 2,500 people living. It's a very small town. Grew up very, very poor. Not that we had to. I think my parents didn't really, I don't know if it was all about the money to them. Mm-hmm. So we could have did much better than we were. I believe that. And that doesn't mean they wasn't great people, I just think we could have had. And maybe that's for the best. So anyways, grew up very poor. Lived in a travel trailer, slept on a couch bed with my brother and sister probably 3 years of my life. And I kind of found out that I never want to be poor ever in my life. So as I progressed through high school, I graduated from George County High, 2003. I'm 34 years old now. And I didn't really know what to do. My family was in the construction business. My dad built houses, and they did shutdown work. It's kind of going from power plant to power plant. Rebuilding them as they shut them down. And I became a boilermaker and a welder. And my stepdad, my mom hadn't got married. He wasn't my stepdad at the time, but he was my mom's boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And he asked me to actually come work for him. Him and his partner had kind of split up after being in business for 3 years, and he had been without a real salesperson for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And I had no sales experience, none whatsoever, other than just being your typical people person,
Right.
And my dad really kind of helped me with that. And so I said, I went from making about $2,000 a week to making nothing a week. But so I came into a car lot that had about 10 cars on it. It had, they probably sold 6 cars a month probably, and it was all buy here, pay here. I would say the actual cost of a vehicle would probably be somewhere around $2,000, and the total and how we priced things was cost time 2 plus $1,000. That was the buy here, pay here model. And you got about 10 to 20% down if you could get that. And that was on June 18th, 2005. Wow. So that was my very first day. And actually on my very first day, I sold my very first car ever. It was a 1997 Mercury Sable. And I sold it for $2,700 to a lady and we got the casinos right across the little bay there. She had won $3,000 on the slot machines, and she paid $2,700 for the car, had enough money to go get insurance and her tag. So anyways, I was in that business, and for probably the first month and a half, we done a lot of buy here, pay here. My stepdad, he owned the inventory, which was probably the total amount of $30,000 if I had to guess. And we had about 75 cars people that paid us. And I was learning the business. I was going to the auction and buying, and I was cleaning the cars. I was selling the cars. I was doing all the paperwork on the cars. I was doing the collection part of it. So, and I think it was around, and maybe I had a little experience with getting banks, the first bank. And I don't know if can we say bank names on here?
Yeah. Whatever you want to say, man. It's our podcast. We do what we want to do.
Okay, cool. So a company called Western Funding, they're still in business today. So I had done a couple of deals, and their thing was they give you like 55% of the the principal and you make money in the payments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd done like 2 deals, my very first 2 deals, and I was waiting to get them funded. And that was around August 20th, probably. And I didn't know anything about the business. I didn't know what a STIP was. So here I am chasing STIPs in August. I think it was the 28th or 29th. Hurricane Katrina hit South Mississippi. And our house is, I mean, we lived right on the, I mean, close to the water. I'm not going to say we were millionaires or anything like that, but our house was, it was on the bayou. Let me say that. So had 4 foot of water in the house, lost everything in the house from 4 foot down, which is pretty much everything besides sheetrock. We had 13 foot of water at our business. Lost everything there. We had to completely gut the building, lost everything. We had no insurance. Lost every car that we had. Actually had 5 customers actually die.
Oh my
and
God.
all of our 75 accounts that was paying us, all but 3 of them didn't pay us anymore. There was 3 of them that paid us after that point. So we went from a cash flow of somewhere around $20,000 a month to $750 a month overnight. And we had no money. We lost, I mean, we were using the money we had to rebuild the business. And so I went from selling cars to doing sheetrock and to trying to buy some cars, trying to fix some cars. We had to sell all the cars that was on the lot. Actually, there were some little guys coming around scrapping them. So we sold everything we had there for probably about $150 a car. I think we'd got up to like 20 cars or something like that. Anyways, very, very long, dark road after Hurricane Katrina. It took us about 2 months to get back open. And everybody that didn't get flooded didn't lose everything. You know, they were selling cars left and right because everybody was getting, you know, FEMA money. I think they lost 350,000 cars or something like that, maybe 500,000 cars between New Orleans and the Gulf Coast. So we were still, I mean, we basically caught the back end of that. November is when we really got started. So it's a couple months later. We sold 34 cars that November. And kind of to come back a little bit with that is we only had $25,000 line of credit. That's it. $25,000 to get started back open again. So we had $25,000 and, you know, the wheel, and that's about it. Bills to pay. So that November, we sold 34 cars. I can't remember if we made a little bit of money, but we were so far in the hole that it took us about 3 years to get out of it. And my stepdad, he is my partner now, he had been in the casino business for 30 years. And he grew up in Lake Tahoe and had worked in Vegas, Reno, and he actually moved down to Biloxi because his dad was general manager of a casino down here. And he started in the casino business, and he got in the car business because the first partner he had was his brother had been doing really, really well in the car business. And he still has a location. He does about 150 a month. Kind of to move forward, all he knew was the buy here, pay here business. So me getting him out of the idea of buy here, pay here, because we had $0. He actually had to have some capital to buy here, pay here, right?
Right.
So I kind of seen that we were trying to buy a little bit newer car, but we didn't have, we had the floor plan. I think we increased it to like $50,000, something like that. But anyways, so he was trying to keep the buy here, pay here mentality. And I knew, I mean, we couldn't afford it, right? We were about to bounce a check every single day. Matter of fact, our banker would call us every day and somehow we would come up with the money to pay that vehicle off, or it was crazy. You're
telling the story of a lot of people. I'm telling you, you have no idea. Keep it
That's
going.
right. That's right. So, I mean, every day was a struggle. And I finally got him to understand, you know, if we sold these cars through these banks, or actually the bank, which was Western Funding at the time, that we could get that money. We could wait for our money. It's almost like a CAC deal that it was a payment sharing is what it was. And we could get the money up front. We didn't have to do it no more. So he still, every now and then he would do a buy here, pay here deal, and we would have to scrounge the money together. And one day I just said, look, I mean, I made $6,000 the very first 6 months I worked there. And I know everybody's thinking, how in the hell did I become a millionaire? And I guess we'll get to that. But
we will.
Anyways, I made $6,000 and probably had to hold checks of $3,000 of that because I couldn't cash them. I was making $8 an hour and $100 a car. I was buying cars, selling cars, fixing cars, doing all the financing, chasing steps, and still collecting some of the money. So anyways, moving forward, I got him to understand the point of sale of just letting the bank take the loan. We still had a 3-month recourse if we didn't pay it, but we try to do our stuff right and make sure we were doing the right thing by the customer, not fluffing down payments and stuff like that. And so our account started paying off. And I think about 2 years, I've been working that program because I had nobody to teach me. And to be honest with you, that's really my own fault. The only thing, my stepdad, his old partner actually come in and showed me how to read a credit report. And I think that's the only thing anybody's really ever showed me the first 5 years I was in the business.
Wow.
And, I learned from that and kind of grew some more, trying to learn some more sales techniques. And so we built up, I think I'd sold 343 cars on Western Funding over like a 2-year period of time, a 2.5-year period of time. And we started getting this back in money, right? I mean, we're talking 3 years of almost going bankrupt every single day.
Yeah.
And actually, there was some more parts in there. I won't even get into that, but we're almost going bankrupt every single day. And I remember the very first check that we received from Western Funding back in money was $422. And I was like, man, this is great. It's going to start paying off. The very next month, we got one for $900. The next month, we got one for $2,000. The next month, we got one for, that's right. It's starting to get great, right? $5,000 the next month. The next one was $9,000. And the very next month, we get this big packet in the mail, right? And I'm thinking, and it's from Western Funding. I said, dude, we're going to get out of this hole, right? I open it up and they had filed bankruptcy.
Oh, it's a shame. And I'm going to laugh, but it's just like hurt.
No, that's right. You get beat down. It's almost like, why am I even doing this, right? I'm making, on paper, probably making $30,000 a year, and I could be making. And to be honest with you, LA, I'm very confident in myself. I don't know if you can tell it or not, but very confident, and I think that goes a long way. I could be whatever I want it to be, but I decided to stick it in here because I knew we could do it, and I don't want to see anybody fail at anything.
Loyalty. It's called loyalty.
That's right, and that's what I am. And to be honest with you, my stepdad's his name's Art. Anyways. Art has always been a fantastic human being to me, and I respect him a lot, and we do a lot of good things together. So, but anyways, so they filed bankruptcy, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, what the heck are we going to do? I'm sitting here spinning my wheels, and I said, listen, the only way, because we don't have the money, the only people that have the money is the banks, right? So I got good at signing up banks. So, and I got good at finance, and I just started signing up banks, started doing finance, and I figured out I was really, really good at the finance portion of it. So, sales I could do, finance was my superpower. So I could get them in there and I could basically work it the way I wanted. I'd always tell them, you pick the down payment, you pick the monthly payment, and you pick the car, you pick it out and we work it out. And I could pretty much do that probably 80% of the time. So it was easy to sell if you could get them what they wanted. So I'm buying cars. I'm increasing our lines of credit. I think we probably got 30 or 40 cars on the lot by this time. I'm selling 20 by myself. I'm going to the auction and buying them all. I'm cleaning most of them. I did hire a little detail guy. I'm selling all of them. I'm financing all of them. I'm getting them all funded. Now I did have some help, in bookkeeping and stuff like that, but anyways, and we just continued to do that. And the more banks I got, the better off we got. And finally, I was able to hire somebody else and as a salesperson and kind of move forward. And the very first time I've hired somebody as a salesperson, I said, well, in order to be a manager, you need to know how to manage people. And be honest with you, I wasn't the best at selling, and I couldn't figure out why. I always thought it was the customer. That was the problem. In reality, it was always me. because I didn't know how to talk to them. I really didn't. They were always apprehensive. And I really think the job of a salesperson is to make somebody feel comfortable, right? Is to make them open up to you in a way that, because they're not coming on your lot to talk to you. They're coming on lot to buy a car, right? Mm-hmm. They want to talk to you and they want to feel comfortable around you. So the most important thing is to work with that customer and figure out what they're wanting, ask the questions, be in control of the conversation. And I went to a Joe Verdi class, and I learned, out of all the things that they said, the one thing that I learned that made it real simple for me is, because anytime somebody comes on a buy here, pay here a lot, they're asking, are you a buy here, pay here? How much down? How much a month? And those are questions, when you got banks that, in reality, what do you want to put down and what do you want a month? Well, that should be your thought. And the guy said, do you want to write a check or do you want to make payments? I've been going out there going, hey, do you want to pay cash or do you want to finance? And they're always saying cash, right? Because they want the cash price. So the minute he said that's the minute my sales career turned around, is because I knew from that point, just by psychology and working with people, is they come in on there for a reason, and you can really direct them the way they want to go, but they're still, without being fearful, right? They're not withholding information from you anymore because they're confident that you're confident in what you can do, right? So from that point forward, I could understand people more, and that helped me understand the sales part. You can't do sales without understanding people. I don't care who you are. I think that really good salesmen are people that can really understand what the wants and needs of their customers are. And you can stop me anytime that you want, because I'll get to talking all day. But
now, listen, man, this is some excellent stuff, and I'm just kind of over here mentally taking a lot of notes. There's a couple of things that are just bouncing around in my mind. The first thing that I heard you say is that you realized at a young age that you did not want to be poor ever, right? And so it was just like, okay, well, what's making you stick in it? When the money is not being made, because there are a lot of impatient people, right? And I don't mean impatient in a positive way. I'm talking about impatient, meaning they can't stick nothing out. They have no stick to itness at all, right? And so I kind of want you to talk a little bit about that. Talk about your fortitude, also the difference, because there's a lot of people, obviously we're talking to the Millionaire Car Salesman listeners, and they got those haters that are like, money isn't everything, why are you so focused on money and that whole situation. So I just kind of want to get your feedback on some of that stuff.
Man, and to be honest with you, LA, if you look for me from the outside, you would think money meant everything to me. And I think people get a real shallow sense of somebody just from the outside in, without talking to them. Yep. And to go back to that I really do not ever want to be poor ever again in my life, So, and that really drives me to be the best I can. I've been that way my whole life. If somebody could run a 4.7 in the 40, I wanted to run a 4.6, right? And I would train as hard as I could until I could do that. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that fortitude comes from that, not wanting to be the best, but not wanting to be better than anybody else, right? As far as a personal level, I want to be better. I want to know that I can do anything in the world. And I believe that I can. So, but anyways, but money doesn't really mean that much to me. Money is just a tool to me to do other things, to help my employees, so they can take care of their family. Sometimes I feel like I care more about my employees than they do themselves, but that's neither. So, but money doesn't really mean that much to me.
I talk about that all the time. You're not the first business owner to say that.
Sure. So I really care about them. And I think maybe I'm too critical of them sometimes, but anyways, back to the money part of it. I really don't, it's not the money that really drives me. It's the actual, how big of a business can I own? And I will get to that in a little bit about some things I'm currently doing, but how many people can I help? That's really it. How much value can I create in this world? What kind of dent can I leave in this earth? And I think that's what drives me mostly. And with that attitude, I really think the money comes with that, because I'm not afraid to ask for it.
Right. And that is beautiful stuff. Awesome. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this. Like I said, you got a whole lot of just key things that you shared with us. Talk about your expertise, right? You talked about really do finance, right? You talked about that.
Yes.
Maybe it's from an investing standpoint, because again, this is the Millionaire Car Salesman listeners. And sometimes I get people on here and they're a little shy, right, to talk about finances. And again, we already know money isn't everything, but it does provide options, right? And so
Absolutely.
that's what we're fighting for. So just talk about your specific expertise and what's something that we don't know about your expertise that as millionaire car salesmen, we should definitely know.
Well, about 3 years ago, I started building software for the automotive industry for the more of a finance software that allows, to help smaller dealers get in contact with banks and be able to have the financing they need to grow their business if they so desire, because I think that's one of the hardest things in the independent sector is actually getting the financing and understanding the financing in order to make money. And the software that I'm building is going to really help with that. The name of the company is called Indirect Auto. It'll be coming out pretty soon. I've been working on it for quite some time, and that's something that I really think that if you believe in something, the money that you make is, like I said, is a tool. So I've put almost every dollar that I've made into this software for about the last 3 years. So I'm reinvesting in myself because I believe it's possible and I know I can do it.
That is, man, I'm telling you, that's the topic of conversation. If you heard the podcast from last week, we talked about what are the habits of the more successful people, and they talk about investing in themselves. Because I would imagine that Verdi class that you took was not free.
It was not. It's $3,200, and it was worth $32 million.
That's what I'm talking about, right? And there's so many people that are like, I just want to get the freebies. Man, I'm telling you, when you invest in yourself, you have no idea the returns that come back. So that's some beautiful stuff. I'm getting chill bumps just thinking about it. So anyway, talk to the people about what are some of the things that independent dealers should know that they don't know or that may go over their head when it comes to financing and what the bank is looking for.
I think the most important thing is having your financials together, because that's what the banks want to see. And you're going to have to get the cars that they want to buy, right? It's very simple. You see one of their rate sheets and the actual cars that they want to purchase, and you buy those and you set it up and you get them good customers and you do good business and you provide the financials that they ask for. A lot of people put roadblocks up for themselves, they'll get a dealer packet and it takes them 3 months to get it filled out, right? I can get a dealer packet filled out for the biggest bank in the United States in 15 minutes. So it's always nice when you can, I get it all the time. Like I'm an independent dealer and there's probably 3 to 4 independent dealers in the whole state of Mississippi that have prime banks that are not franchise affiliated. I'm not franchise affiliated. And it's always impressive to them when the rep walks in and he hands the packet down and they expect me to mail it back to them. And I tell them just to hang out for 15 minutes and I bring them the entire packet filled out, ready to go, all the information. And I've memorized everybody's information. So phone numbers, bank accounts, that way I can just fill out that in about 15 minutes. Wow. And we're set up within 2 weeks.
Yeah, I say it all the time. Money like speed.
And tenacity helps out a lot. It took me 2 years to get Capital One messaging the guy every single day.
Now, you got to tell us that story.
I actually called the Capital One rep for a year. I called him every single week for a year. And after the first 2 phone calls, he never picked up. And I left him 51 voicemails. And after the 52nd one, he cut his voicemail off. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll show him. I said, I'll text you every single day. I text him every single day. On about the 15th day, he finally responded back to me, told me that, we're not signing independent dealers up in the area. I'll let you know when we do. I said, well, I'll tell you what, you send me the packet over and I'll fill it out. And whenever y'all do, you let me know. Right. So he didn't send it to me the next day. So I kept sending text messages, and I wasn't mean about it. I was actually super nice, just telling him, hey, I hope you have a great day. Whenever you get ready to have an excellent car dealership on your platform that's going to sell, 15 cars a month, and it's going to give you great paper and it's going to perform better than anybody else, give me a call. And I sent him that message, a little very different variation every single day. And he finally, after about another 18 days, I think he finally sent me the packet over. and he sent it over at 9:30 at night. I had it to him by 8 o'clock the next morning. So, and then I spent another about 35 days, and he never responded to any of my text messages. And then I decided to start texting him twice a day. And about a week after that, I think I got signed up with him.
Wow. See, now that's just the definition of follow-up. So I'm telling you, this is what one of the number one challenges that we have. See, people think that, successful people, I don't know what they think. I mean, because, most regular, average, ordinary people would have given up after 3, maybe 7 days. Man, I've been texting this guy all week. He ain't getting back to me, man. Freak him, And so what you got to tell the people your mindset. What were you thinking? How did you stay in the game? Share that with us.
My mindset is that they were going to be a bank with Direct Auto. I didn't care how long it took, how many times I had to text him. I don't care how many people I had to talk to. He was going to sign me up as a dealer. And I never get discouraged. For whatever reason, it gets a little aggravating, but I never get discouraged because I know that I do good enough business to have Capital One. I'm confident that I can be a great dealer for them. So I just never gave up. I don't guess I have that. It kind of gets me every time they didn't respond, made me want to text him 10 times more. Right.
I love it.
I just never give up, man.
I'm telling you, that is a staple, right? I always talk to people about how you have to have 2 characteristics in order to be successful in this game. You have to have courage and persistency. There is no successful person I know that has been, successful in any way that says, oh, persistent. Oh, no, that's definitely not me. I never have heard that, right? People have courage. Sure. They don't get discouraged. If anything, they are encouraged. And, right. It's something about the mind that you have to make the decision as a millionaire car salesman, as a successful person, period, on earth, that's how you're going to live your life. This is some phenomenal stuff. So you're really, really breaking it down. So here's the thing, because you really talked about some dark times, right? You talked about some years that
that's right.
You guys were struggling, things like that. What do you think now, 14, actually plus a little less than that years later, let's just kind of even go with, 10, 11 years later, when you look back at it, what did you learn from it? What do you use that you learned in those moments today?
I think that the things that I learned was, to don't give up, be persistent. And just because you have tough times, it makes you tough people. So it just can't give up, man. I guess I never really looked at it any other way than that's just not something I do. I wake up every single morning. How am I going to conquer the world today? And how am I going to have a positive attitude and making sure that I do everything I can do to make sure that my employees and my family's taken care of at the end of the day. And that's something I tell every one of my employees, actually at the time of hire, that if you don't come in my business or your business, actually, because you're your own entrepreneur, especially if you're a car salesman, you're drumming up your own business. If you ever come in here one day and not do everything you can to support your family, then that's when me and you have an issue. It has nothing to do with this business. It has everything to do with supporting our families. So if you don't come here every single day and do everything you can within your power to make sure your family and yourself has a better life, then I probably don't need you working at this business. I want people that excel in life. I want people that are going to help my customers and their customers. I want them to create enough value to their customer that their customer never has to worry about calling anybody else about another car in their life, because that's their person that they deal with.
This is beautiful stuff. So kind of break it down to me, because really what it is. The reason why other people don't say that to the people when they bring them aboard, I believe it's heart. What do you think it is?
No, that's right. I have a lot of passion, and I just want to see other people. I think that's anybody successful. They really want to see other people grow, right? It's kind of, if you're going to the top, you got to reach down and pick somebody else up, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's not enough, maybe there's enough people out there. Maybe there's not enough people wanting to listen to those people, because it's hard. The things that I tell other people is they're very hard to do. They're different than the other 98% of the population do, right? This is what the top 2% or top 1% do. And if you want to be in the top 1%, you got to do the top 1% shit, right?
Hell yeah.
So I think that's very important. I think you got to really invest in yourself, invest in your education. And one thing I want to touch on about car salesmen in general, which I don't think they really know, especially young ones, and that go, well, I never really went to college, I don't have a college education. Well, just because you have a college education, I think the average salary of a college educated graduate, the first year out, is around $50,000. I don't think, the average car sales salary is somewhere around the same thing, right? So you're getting paid to get an education, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So spend that. And it takes 4 years to get a bachelor's degree, right? To make $50,000. Spend the first 4 years. And like I always try to tell people, and you said it earlier, is be patient, but be patiently impatient.
Yes.
I think that's very important. Is want it to happen now, but know it takes years. Get in there and learn everything about the car business. To be honest with you, LA, I don't think there's another human in the United States that has more expertise or more knowledge in the independent business anyway. I don't know anything about the franchise business, but from buying cars to selling cars to fixing cars to doing finance to doing bookkeeping, I've done every single bit of it, and I've really tried to learn every bit of it and be knowledgeable about it, because the more I know, the more I can help somebody else know. So,
and see, the thing is, you're supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to feel like I'm the best. Like what? There's nobody in, like, even for me, they call me the blind phone master. I feel like there ain't nobody who can really touch me in the game of phone sales. Like, that's just what I do, right? I've been blind for 35 plus years. So you can't tell me anything about how audio works and all that. I got a degree in audio engineering, and that don't have nothing to do with the whole finance. The whole college thing and all of that stuff. It's just because of my experience. It's like, this is what I do. This is what I dedicated myself to. And so many people never dedicate themselves to anything to that level. But, I don't know why people feel like they need permission, to feel like they're the best. Now, here's the thing. Nobody's telling anybody to go out there and just be cocky, right? Nobody's saying you're supposed to feel like you're the best and not earn it. But when you grind and you earn and you fight and you scratch and you claw for it, man, I'm telling you, that's what makes you deserve it. So, man, I'm telling you, we're on fire now, baby.
No, that's right. And what I want to tell people is, a lot of people give up when they hear, oh, you're cocky, and the people that tell you that you're cocky, that you're arrogant, in reality, you're really confident. They just don't know what it looks like.
Right.
They ain't never seen it before in their life. So don't get discouraged when somebody, and I did before, like I said, man, I've got chill bumps 10 times during this phone call. So I've had people my whole life go, Michael, you're so arrogant, you're so cocky. And I would think, what am I doing that causes people to say this, right? And I would almost dial back a little bit because I didn't know, right? And then I figured out that I was really confident. They just never seen it before, right? They didn't know what to call it. They weren't confident enough in themselves to know that I was confident in myself.
I'm loving that. So, man, I'm telling you, we dropping some nuggets here, man. So you're already giving us some ideas of some great things that I believe is moving your career forward exponentially. Like, I think being confident in yourself is huge, right? But what's the number one major takeaway that you want our listeners to receive from your aha moment, from understanding that that's normal?
If I had to say anything to anybody, is learn how to work and invest in yourself, and don't be afraid to eat alone, I guess you would say, right? Don't worry about what anybody else in the car dealership's doing. Don't worry if they're going to lunch with so-and-so. Don't worry. Worry about what you are doing and how it's benefiting you. Because if you cannot be your best, you cannot help nobody else out.
Got to put the mask on yourself before that's what they teach us in the plane. Every time you hop on a plane, they say, please put the oxygen mask on yourself before helping someone else. That's basically what
that's right.
So, man, you're on top of it. All right. So let's talk about this, because what do you think was holding you back? Now that you're, where you are, like you said, 34 years old, man, you're cash flowing, doing your thing. What was holding you back from becoming the you of today?
Excuses. Making up excuses and blaming it on other people.
What? You ain't making excuses. No, I like how you said before, you thought it was the customer, right? And it's never the customer.
That's right.
It's always us. So
that's right.
That's beautiful stuff.
Now, my stepdad probably gave me the best advice that I've ever gotten was everything that happens to you is your fault. It doesn't matter if you get rear-ended at a red light. It's your fault for being there at that time. Until you can understand the mentality of everything's your fault, then you can never fix the things that you're blaming on other people, right, when it's really yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's really just called a 100% take responsibility, right? Because, the
That's
word fault,
right.
Again, me being the blind phone master, words are important, right? And so if we don't want to use the word fault because we're a little bit softer in the midsection, right? Man, then just say responsibility. It's my responsibility. I was here and this is what happened to me because I was at this spot at this moment. That's just how it is. There's no victim mentality. You can't be a victim. You got to be a victor. So I love
That's
it.
right.
And here's the other. This is how you know people are vibing because, Mike didn't know what questions I was getting ready to ask. And I was getting ready to ask him, what was the best advice he'd ever received. And I'm telling you, so this is how you know that we're cooking with gas. So just tell the people, what is a personal habit, unless he listens to the podcast before, but what's a personal habit that contributes to your success that you believe that people should really, what's something that they can take from you?
I tell you what I started here recently is getting up every morning and writing my goals down and making sure I write them or things I need to accomplish, which is what I do is write down long-term goals and I write down short-term solutions, right? Things I can do every single day to reach that. And if I write down 5 of them every single day, long-term goals, and I'm writing down 3 to 4 things every single day that I can do to reach that goal as much as I can.
Okay. So just elaborate on that because here's what people think. I just wrote that yesterday. What's going to be what's different about me writing it today? It's so repetitive. How is this helping?
What's different is the things that you're doing every single day and holding yourself accountable. Every morning that I get up, I write those down. And at night before I go to sleep, I have one page and on the other page, I write down it's morning and night. And at night, I elaborate or go over the things that I didn't do. And I hold myself accountable. And when I first started, I've been doing this 2 years next month. And when I first started, I'd miss a day, right? And I put on there, you're a bum. Only bums don't, follow up at the end of the day, or only bums don't write their goals down. And I'd write that down because I felt that way. And I don't think I'm a bum, but I just know that I'm better than that, right? So I got to where I was writing them every single day and I would hold myself accountable. And and to be honest with you, I don't really share this with a lot of people because I don't want people feeling sorry for me or sympathetic. But my very first goal that I've been writing down every single day, my son is he's 5 years old. He's nonverbal autistic. And my goal is to get him talking every day, right? So my very first thing is it's number 1, get Cohen speaking. And the next one is A, do ABCs 5 times. Do, dada, do papa, and I know it sounds silly, do bye-bye twice, right? And I try to hold myself to that every single day and do something every single day that I'm going to benefit. And every time I do that and hold myself accountable, the shortest pen's better than the longest memory. So if you write them down, you'll remember them. And if you look at it, I take a picture of that too every day so I can look at it throughout the day, making sure I'm staying on task. And I make sure I do those things. Even though I work a lot, I want to make sure that's the most important thing to me. I can make all the money in the world, but that means really nothing if I can't, I want him to speak, right? And the second one is a long-term goal. I want to sell 100 cars a month. We've been hitting 85, 86, and we're doing something every single day to do that. I'm working with my finance team every day. I'm working with my sales. I need to get on top of my marketing every day. I need to do this. The next one is, build my software to a $2 billion evaluation. And what am I doing on that? Right? Am I setting up my follow-up systems? Am I Am I setting up my CRM correctly? And the next one is my RV park. You know, what am I doing every day for that? And then the last one is have a great day, right? What am I doing for that? What am I doing to have a great day every single day? And the first one is smile, you know, and every time I see it, it reminds me, you know, to have a positive attitude. There ain't nothing that, you know, that's going to hurt you. You know, no matter what the bad stuff in the world is, it's only temporary. So continue to smile. Make sure everybody sees a smile on your face, because nobody wants to deal with somebody angry. And do the best you can, right?
Wow, man. These podcasts are getting better and better and better, people, I'm telling you. So you're just super on fire, man. So let me ask you this, just because, you know, being blind, right? You know, the excuse, let's say if I was one of those guys that made excuses and, you know, I can't look at what am I supposed to do, Michael? How do I be successful?
I'm very tough on a lot of people, and I'm not very emotional person. I'm very logical, you know. As long as you have the ability to do it, you have everything necessary to be the best in the world on the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should be. You have no excuse to. I mean, I've never been blind before, and I'm sure to be honest with you, you have more of a reason to say, you know, I can't, most of anybody else that's probably going to listen to this podcast, and you're still not a victim, right?
No.
That's right. You shouldn't be, because you got every skill that allows you to do that.
Yes. That's exactly my point. Is because no matter what quote unquote deficiency you think you got, man, I'm telling you, somebody else got something different. No matter what you're going through, there is someone else who would kill for the things that you have. So, man, it's beautiful stuff. All right. So talk to us about your favorite internet resource or app, you know, just something that you use to help you succeed.
LA, I'm a Google freak, man. I'm a Google freak. I probably research. If like me and you were talking about something, I'll go home and research it all night. I'll probably spend about an hour on it. Maybe that makes me a little bit different than everybody. I really kind of try to get some me time, and I'll research about 2 to 3 hours a night, just things I didn't know. Right. Wow. And I think that Google really helps me. I mean, it's fantastic, obviously, but it really allows you to open up to anything. You have the best resource in the world at your tip of your fingers. So I research every single night, 2 to 3 hours at least, you know, and throughout the day, probably 4 hours a day, I'm researching things that I didn't know to prevent being ignorant.
I love it, man. And I'm the same way. I wake up early and do it. But I mean, hey, whenever it works, right? Make it work.
That's right.
Your schedule, whatever you need, man. I'm telling you, go out there and get the information that you need, because it's out there. It's available to you. Man, I love it. All right. So listen, I know you do a lot of research and you're reading all over the internet and things like that, but what's a book that you would recommend and why?
Since we're talking about, man, I've read hundreds of books. Depends on the situation, but if I had to start out small, I would start out with The Richest Man in Babylon. Tells you how to kind of save your money. It's a great one.
Yes.
It's a great one.
So talk a little bit about that, because this is the Millionaire Car Salesman Group, and I believe that that's like the number one book. So we are so kindred spirits on this. So
with The Richest Man in Babylon, it really tells you how to. It's a lot of old time how the people of Babylon was the richest society in the world, and it shows you how you got there, how to prevent having an empty wallet. Is 10% of every dollar that you earn belongs to you. Mm-hmm. The rest of it can go to bills, whatever, but 10% of that belongs to you. And you need to invest that into people that know what they're doing or you know what you're doing with the money, right? So it tells one of the stories is the guy's trying to learn how to become rich, and he invested 10%, the money that he saved, to a brick maker that was going to buy jewels. And he lost his money because the brick maker doesn't know anything about jewels. If you want to invest money with a brick maker, it better be about bricks.
That's it.
So it's important, and it tells you, somewhat how to invest, but most importantly is save your money and put that money to work for you. So the money it makes can go to work for it. It's a never ending stream of money.
Absolutely, man. I'm telling you, again, my absolute favorite book. So if anybody wants to chat about that, definitely get in contact with me or Mike, man. We can do this thing. So
that's right.
So man, I love what you were saying earlier in the message about how just making people feel comfortable. Just yesterday, I stopped by one of my dealerships, right? They didn't even know I was coming. But the crazy thing was, I did was Facebook Live. One of the people saw it. But as soon as I walked in, the guy was like, hey, LA, I need a TO. I got this lady who's, she's on the edge. She wants this Camaro, but she's kind of on the edge about it. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me talk to her. And that was the number one thing I did, is just make her feel comfortable. Right. That's all I focused on. I said, let me, get to know her. Let her get to know me a little bit, make her feel comfortable. And then I did that so much so that actually I went upstairs, trained the new people for an hour. And by the time I came back downstairs, she was at the dealership. Right. Because that's the type of stuff you got to do. You got to make people feel comfortable. So can you just kind of dive? Because that's, I think a big challenge with people. They're so involved in themselves that they never really focus on helping other people feel comfortable. So give people a parting piece of guidance that deals with working with people. Because again, this is the Millionaire Car Salesman listener. And I'm telling you that we know that it's about the money, but to be about money, you got to be about people.
That's right. That's right. So if I had to say anything, is have a service attitude and know that that customer is now your boss, and whatever they need is what you need to do. That customer is the dealership's boss. That customer writes the check. It don't matter if you go through a bank. That customer writes the check. They sign the paperwork, which gets the check signed, which goes to the dealership, what gets you paid, right? Mm-hmm. They are the boss. So whatever they need you to do is what you need to be doing.
And here's let's make sure that we get this understood. It's whatever they need you to do, not whatever they want you to do, right? It's about what they need. Because a lot of times, even as customers, they don't know what it takes in order for them to get the desired results. And so you got to be that much of a professional to know, okay, this is what this person needs, right? And so it's not, about, just doing what people say and everything like that. It's not, this ain't, they say, Burger King, have it your way. The customer's always right. That's not that mentality. You got to be a professional and understand what people need and then give them that. And they will thank you over and over and over for it. So, man, that's some beautiful stuff.
Yeah, it's creating value, being valuable to them, because you do this every single day. They're here to buy a car. How can we elicit the process that starts that, right? And being able to read body language. Somebody's not comfortable. Slow it down. This is not about, they'll buy a car if they feel comfortable enough with you, and if you explained it enough. Mm-hmm. And people that, I see this more on the site than ever. Everybody complains, oh, they always talk about value and it never works. Well, you don't know how to build it if it ain't working for you.
Say that thing, boy.
So, anyway, go ahead.
This podcast is tickling me. I'm telling you, we're having a ball with this thing. I hate to close it out, man, but I know we can't keep people forever. So let's just say this, because I know you're in the Millionaire Car Salesman group. If people want to get more from Michael West, right, where can they go? What can they do? How can they connect with you?
They can just add me on Facebook. I try to respond to everybody that sends me a message. I'm on Millionaire Car Salesman. Look me up. That's Michael, Machael. And West. It's got a picture of me and my dog. He comes to work with me every day. He's the owner. Cool. I like to call him. So
nice, man.
And
awesome stuff.
They can just hit me up on there.
All right, perfect, man. Well, thank you so much for that. Listen, people, you are the average of the 5 people who you spend the most time with, man. And you just been spending time with L.A. Williams and my main man, Michael West. And as you can tell by the change in the audio, listen, we had some challenges during the podcast, and we ain't skip a beat. You see what I'm saying? We ain't skip a daggum beat. Man, it's your turn. Go out there and be a millionaire car salesman. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Thanks, LA. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Peace.
Later.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like it, you love it, you want more of it, then don't wait for the next money show. Just go to bradleyondemand.com and take your career to the next level.